Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto my power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. Okay, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And I wanted to touch on this. I was just in thought and decided to put this on wax, and I don't quite yet know what I'm going to entitle this lesson, but I wanted to touch on the idea and the fact that us being in this ministry, we happen to think about death a lot more than the common person. The thought of death, the thought of leaving behind these material things and looking forward to what's next. And of course, us having the instruction and the guidance of the scriptures, we know what's next. And that being, the kingdom, right? But for the common man and the people that are not initiated per se with the knowledge and anointed, there's a certain mystery that is behind that question of what happens when someone dies. And we often get caught up in the fact that we think about death on a daily basis, and that's more than the common person. So I just wanted to read this, because when we talk about people, then we convince them of these things that we talk about in the scriptures when we say, the great multitude is going to perish in vain. And, how the Lord is going to, there's going to be carcasses, millions of carcasses. What is that? I believe it's Nahum, where it talks about the multitudes, the amount of people, the amount of death and destruction that the Lord is about to bring. Well, that right there would get us familiar with death, right? And the idea of us taking part in that. And of course, that fear moves us to do the work, prevent our bodies or present our bodies as a living sacrifice. But you have to understand, the common person is not thinking about death on a daily basis. And that persuasion and that fear of us eventually dying is what moves us to do this work. I wanted to get this. Let's look up the definition, all right, of death anxiety, okay? I just want to read this, and we'll kind of touch on some points, but this is death anxiety caused by thoughts of death. And of course the scriptures, they speak of us to not be anxious, okay? We shouldn't be anxious. We know that our house is it was built with an infirmity. It was built with and when I speak of our house, I'm speaking of my body, our body that we share, okay? And we know that it's corruptible, okay? We know that this temple is not permanent, okay? But I want to read this. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. For we know, these are things that we know. When I say we, I'm speaking of those of us in this ministry. And this is even a concept that, if you may be new, it may be unfamiliar with you on how much you're confronted with the idea of, yes, you could possibly die. You may die, okay? Of course, we know that there are going to be majority of the elect will be saved and they won't taste of death. But there will be individuals that will die and they will taste death. And that can be a sting or a stumbling block to some individuals, okay? But let's read. It says 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Yahweh, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens." Yeah, we know, like, again, us being in this ministry, among these mysteries, we know that our house, our body, if we die on this side, we do have a crown of righteousness laid up for us in the heavens. Okay, but that's if we die in our righteousness. That's if we die in our integrity. So that common idea of us being faced with the idea of us having to taste of death is important for us to consider. Okay, that's what moves us to act on the now. Okay? And like I said, this may be something for a newer listener. They may struggle upon is considering death anxiety. Okay, which we're going to get the definition. We're going to finish the definition of what that is and kind of dive into that and just flow in the spirit. But that is something that we meditate upon continually is, the Lord's judgment, it goes out every day. So we are not immune to the idea of we may be put out, if you will. Okay? So I want to read this. It says, fear of death. Okay? Fear of dying. Death anxiety is anxiety caused by thoughts of one's own death and is known as thanatophobia. Thanatophobia. Okay, thanatophobia is what it's called in the scientific term. All right, Esau got to make up a big fucking word for it. It says, this anxiety can significantly impact various aspects of a person's life. Death anxiety is different from necrophobia, which refers to an irrational or disproportionate fear of dead bodies. For anything associated with death. Death anxiety has been found to affect people of differing demographic groups as well as such as men versus women, young versus old, etc. Okay, let's jump around. This is just Wikipedia. I'm gonna just go to some Google, see what's popping over here. Yeah, let's read this. It says, all right. Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia is a form of anxiety disorder, which is just death anxiety, like we just spoke about, that involves an intense fear of death. Some people may call it death anxiety. It can lead to overwhelming feelings of anxiety about a person's death or the process of dying. Healthcare professionals do not define death anxiety as a distinct disorder, but it may have links to other depression or anxiety disorders. These include PTSD, panic disorders and panic attacks, illness, anxiety disorders, which were previously known as hypochondrias. Okay. It says, what is thanatophobia? Tufia says, in the Greek language, the word Thanatos refers to death, and phobos means fear. Therefore, thanatophobia relates as the fear of death. Okay? Having some anxiety about death is entirely typical part of the human condition. Okay? And it is, because it's the unknown, right? It's the unknown. You're going into quote unquote uncharted territory, right? That's something new, right? New things in this experiences are scary, right? So, but we know that it's natural, okay? The Lord made these things, all right? Different chapters of our life have led to different skills that were brought into play, or different responsibilities that made us better, or different endings for new beginnings, okay? The Lord starts and begins things, and it's just a natural thing within life and in cycles, man. So if you are struggling with, thinking about, the act of dying, and, how, it's like really on your spirit to consider these things, find comfort and rest, and, it's natural, okay? This is Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." Okay? Yeah, and there's a time and a season for everything. There's a time to, let's continue. Let's continue on. It says, verse 2, "A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted." So yeah, there's a time to be born. And of course, if you're listening to this video, you have surpassed that time. And just like how that was uncharted territory, just like how that was new and unfamiliar with you specifically, well, the act of death now, in a sense, is uncharted territory, but it will be and should be, we should get familiar with it, because we're about to witness a lot of death, whether that be our actual body perishing and dying, or the people around us perishing and dying. Okay, the Lord is about to bring a lot of death, a lot of multitudes. A lot of people are going to be put to shame and put out, plucked up, if you will. And the thing is, see, the being anxious about it, well, it shows a lack of faith and a lack of wisdom. Okay, if you're anxious about death, okay, which we ask for the Lord to pray. We ask for the Lord for different things when we pray, and we should ask for those things. Okay, strength to endure, wisdom, okay, to understand what exactly happens after we die. And that's natural, though. That's natural. Me, myself, death was something that I constantly thought about before the truth, okay? And, it's still something that I think about, of course. It's still something that I think about, and we should. It's a healthy thing to think about. Most people, they're airheads, okay? They don't want to consider and think about those things, right? You might bring it up, right? Think about, you talking about death to your, your old auntie, right? And she's like, you got that envisioning mind, and at least in my family, at least I can't really speak on other people's experiences, but I'm sure there's someone in your family where you bring up death or somebody dying, and it's like they instantly got to pull out the sage, and it's like a boy, hush, be quiet, shh, don't say that. It's this like a big phobia of like, oh, let's not say it, because it's if we don't say it, of course it's not going to happen if we don't say it, right? No, these are conversations that need to be had. Okay, these are things that need to be said. These are things that you need to be reminded on, so we don't take the things that we have in front of us for granted. okay? When somebody dies, it's nothing like when somebody dies in the family. Of course, we know that people worship death on this side, but death typically are usually the ones that make people closer, okay? Families specifically. And, that's just how it is, But let's read this. This is Psalms chapter 90, verse 12 in the NLT. It says, teach us to realize the brevity of life. Okay, brevity. Yeah, we got to teach us to realize how brief. Okay, that's where you get the word brief from. Yeah, this life is very brief. It's nothing but a breath. Okay, our life is just a breath. It's just a moment. It's fleeting. Okay. And, that's just the facts. All right. That's just the facts. But it says, teach us to realize the brevity of life so that we may grow in wisdom, And we only grow in wisdom once we realize the brevity of life. Once we realize how short our time here is. All right. The time is short. Okay. We have to forsake certain things so that we can have a gain, if you will. All right. So let's go back to the definition of death anxiety. Okay. It says, having some anxiety about death is entirely typical part of the human condition. However, for some people, thinking about their death or the process of dying can cause intense anxiety and fear. A person may feel extreme anxiety when they consider that death is inevitable. They may also experience fear of separation, fear of dealing with a loss, worries about leaving loved ones behind. And those are all things that we can't control. Okay, you can't control if you gain or lose. You don't control if you get separated or you get joined together. And you don't have a choice upon whether you leave loved ones behind or you bring them to you. We don't have a choice with those things. Okay? It may seem like you have an optical illusion of that. Like that's in your hands. But we know that the Lord, He controls everything, okay? Good and evil. Okay? According to Isaiah, the 55th chapter, okay? Light and darkness. So, it says, the symptoms, and I'm just jumping around in this Medical News Today article, okay? It says, the symptoms may come and go over an individual's lifetime. Someone with mild death anxiety might experience heightened anxiety when they think about their death or the death of a loved one, or as such when they or a family member is seriously ill. And this is something that's about to be brought upon the earth and for us all to consider. Okay? This is something that we have to really consider. Even when someone near to you dies, right, there is a certain portion of you that is gone, right? There's a certain, and I'm speaking chemically, right? And I mean, chemically is part spiritually, like there's things that happen, effects, right? But when you don't see someone or you're missing someone, you're not getting the reaction that they cause from you spending time with them in conversation, the laughing, the smiles, the tears, the deep thought and meditation upon them. When you don't get that, there's a portion of that, there's a portion of you gone too, But, we have this knowledge and we know what's next, so we know that person that's on the other, they're with the Heavenly Father. They're waiting for us, in the kingdom, hopefully on a chariot. Hopefully, that the person you really, if you're having a problem with dealing with death, then it's, hopefully it's a brother, man. hopefully it's somebody that's fearing the Lord and doing the work, man. You know. So, but like I'm saying, man, it's a natural part of life, man. You know. And it's all gonna return. You know, it's all gonna return. But the thing that we should be doing is really fearing the Lord and fearing, what's about to happen, man. Okay, because that anxiety leads us to perform. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 7, verse 32 in the GNT. It says, "The ground will give up the dead who sleep in their silence, and the souls of the dead will be released from the places where they have been kept." Right? Because, we're all going to, go, or I won't say all, but, there's going to be individuals that die and they perish and go into the grave, okay, and be silent. But, everybody goes to the heavens, man. Everybody goes, to the Heavenly Father, and they approach the throne. Okay, it says, verse 33, Yahweh Most High will appear on His judgment seat. Mercy and patience will vanish completely. Okay, and be replaced by judgment, truth, and faithfulness will once again stand firm. Okay, so yeah, we know that the things that we did within our life, the choices that we made, they're going to stand firm. So having death anxiety, well, that's completely natural. It's completely natural to feel some sort of way about dying, but we should not let that consume us. We know that it won't consume us. Okay, we know that the thing that we're a part of, it has an end. Okay, it's for a reason, but we often should meditate upon death. It's healthy to. It's really unhealthy to neglect that chapter of life. Okay, people often celebrate the birth. People often celebrate birthdays, but now you don't want to celebrate the death. No, man, that's a moving on. It's a passing through. It's a transition to the next chapter, okay? And we should meditate upon that and be glad that we're approaching that day, okay? And not even in the physical, the death of many things, okay? The death of certain relationships, the death of certain commitments, the death of certain parts and aspects of you to be reborn in a new way, okay? So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that for anybody that may resonate with that, with this lesson. Leave a comment, right? Comment, subscribe, like. And, I'll catch you in the next one. I want to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom.